Well, good morning and welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makudira. The time is 9:40 Central African time, and we're going to be turning our attention to a very, very powerful and emotionally charged film that has captured global attention. We are aware that this film is now going to be screening here in South Africa. The voice of Hind Rajab. The film tells the heartbreaking and true story of a story that I think touched all of us in 2024. 5-year-old Hind Rajab in Gaza, whose desperate final calls for help, I think, resonated around the world, almost becoming a symbol of human suffering and the urgent realities of conflict, and putting into the spotlight the genocide that, most importantly, the children of Gaza are surviving and are living through, and others are dying by. And joining us this morning is Islamic Relief South Africa, and they have their representative who's joining us, Galeema Moyce. She's the regional volunteer and events officer at IRSA, and they are, and I think it's very, very significant to note, they're the humanitarian partner of the screening of this film, and it's going to be really, really interesting to hear from their point of view why they decided to be a part of this wonderful initiative and what it means for them. Halima, Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views.
Walaikum salam, good morning, and shukran, and thank you so much for having me this morning.
No, the pleasure is all ours. And I think we'll jump right into it. For our listeners who are hearing about the voice of Hind Rajab for the first time, can you briefly just explain what the film is all about and what they can expect when they go for one of those screenings?
Of course, so the film of Hind Rajab, it's a real true life story of a 5-year-old. She's Hind Rajab, and on the 29th of January 2024, she became trapped inside a car in Gaza under active fire, and her voice trembling as she pleaded for help that would not arrive in time. So members of her family, the story it has been they have been killed, and she remained on the phone for hours with emergency responders from the Palestine Red Crescent Society, pleading for help while they desperately tried to coordinate a rescue ambulance team. The film, it recreates the experience of the emergency responders and also the emotional reality of those conversations, directed by the Tunisian filmmaker Kotha Hania. And what makes this especially powerful is that it uses Hind Rajab's real recorded voice, which allows audiences the real experience of the fear and the urgency and her helplessness and the helplessness of that moment in a deeply human way. So it takes us through a very dramatic experience, but as well as her actual voice that has been
Mm.
recorded. Yeah, so audiences will definitely be able to feel that raw emotion in that moment.
Mm, 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 mm. Why do you think Hind Rajab's story has resonated so deeply with audiences around the world? I mean, images that were coming out of Gaza, especially in the last 2 years, I think were all so very, very violent. They were also graphic, and you wouldn't go through social media, without shedding a tear, essentially. But there was just something about Hind Rajab's story. Why do you think it resonated so deeply?
Yeah, so it resonated across the globe because it centers around something completely humane. The voice of a child asking for help, a child is, and the rescue that never came for her. And Hind and the ambulance crew sent to save her were all killed. This film, it's not only about one tragic event, but also about a memory, a testimony, and the responsibility, of to ensure stories like Hind Rajab's it's heard across the globe. So since premiering at the Venice Film Festival, in 2025, the film has had an extraordinary global response. And it's quite tragic, and this is a reason where each and everyone they came together hearing stories like Hind Rajab, and it received a historic 23-minute standing ovation and has gone on to receive multiple international awards and nominations, including recognition at the Academy Awards, Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, and European Film Awards, Audiences have connected deeply with the emotional weight of the story and the ethical questions it raises about humanity, accountability, and the realities faced by civilians and humanitarian workers in conflict zones. So this story, it's powerful. It's something that the world has come to see and experience of what has been happening in Palestine.
I wanted to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about, I think, something that you also, just slightly touched on, the fact that this film is almost a blend of a documentary and, a dramatic kind of storytelling scenario, and the impact that that kind of format has on viewers, because I think it's very, very important, and we'll touch on it right after this.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Meyer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Meyer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Meyer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Meyer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Meyer, where every detail matters.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
This Eid al-Adha, donate your Qurbani through Africa Muslims Agency. Our Qurbani program empowers local farmers, providing training and a sustainable income. We educate communities on the rights of Hajj and Udhiyah and uplift them with the gift of nourishing meat. Sponsor in South Africa, Sudan, Gaza and more. Prices start at 2,000 Rand per share. Donate your Qurbani with Africa Muslims Agency and let your sacrifice bring empowerment, education and inspiration.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makudire, and I'm still in conversation with Galeema Moyce from Islamic Relief South Africa. And we're talking about, I think, a really, really wonderful film, a film that is very, very impactful, and one that I think all of us need to see at least once in screening across various parts of South Africa. And Islamic Relief South Africa is the humanitarian partner of these screenings. And Galeema, thank you so much for staying with us. Before we went into that short break, I wanted to touch briefly on the structure of the film in itself, because it blends documentary and dramatic storytelling. What do you think the impact of that is, that format, the impact on it on viewers, and having it designed that way?
Right. So as you mentioned, this is a unique type of film where it blends docufiction, blending documentary elements with dramatic reenactment. So it takes the actors and which they portray the emergency responders from the Palestine Red Crescent in the film at the Society Call Center, which Hind Rajab's actual recorded voice is used throughout the film. This film has also some very high-profile executive producers, including Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, and Alfonso Cuarón. The story unfolds largely inside the emergency response center, where volunteers are trying to coordinate an ambulance rescue under incredible, difficult conditions. So the film shows the delays, the bureaucracy, and the impossible decisions humanitarian workers face while trying to save lives during conflict. And so rather than focusing on spectacle, the film focuses on human emotion, on urgency, and the psychological toll carried by those trying to help. With the voice of Hind Rajab. So that's a type of film. It's quite unique, and it is, like you mentioned, a film that you have to see at least once in your life.
I want to touch on the Palestine Red Crescent Society, because they play a very, very key role in the real life events. You know, we've seen images of how they're literally on the ground in Gaza, especially during the height of the genocide. What is the involvement, or how rather is the involvement portrayed in the film itself?
Right, so the Palestine Red Crescent Society, it's central to the story because it is the emergency responders who remain on the phone with him while trying to coordinate assistance. So the film was made in cooperation with the Palestine Red Crescent Society, and it highlights the realities humanitarian workers face while operating, like I mentioned, under these extremely dangerous and restricted conditions. The responders were attempting to secure approval for an ambulance route while trying to comfort Hind while she was completely terrified at the time. So it really highlights both the courage of these volunteers and the emotional burden carried by humanitarian workers in a conflict setting. So as you can imagine, the type of call they had to make while being on the phone, providing comfort to Hind, and at the time being in such a severe condition on both ends. So yes, that's how exactly the Red Crescent Society is also a key element to this film.
You know, we have people that are listening to us right now. They are probably thinking, you know, this conversation is maybe inspiring me or motivating me to go see the film. Without giving too much away, what can South African audiences expect, both emotionally, number one, and number two, educationally, from these screenings?
Yeah, we know South Africans are deeply connected to the Palestine cause. So the audience, they can expect a deeply emotional and thought-provoking experience. This is not simply a film people watch and move on from. This is a story that stays with you because it centers real human voices, real fear, and real loss. The screenings are also intended to create space for awareness, for reflection, and solidarity with the people of Palestine. Several screenings have already been sold out in and around South Africa, which shows how strongly, you know, South Africans are responding to the opportunity to engage with this type of story and this type of experience. So I would highly encourage each and everyone for the remaining shows that we do have to purchase your tickets.
And from IRSA's point of view, what role are you guys playing in these screenings, and also the outreach efforts, and why was it so important for you to be a part of this initiative?
Right, so as you mentioned, Islamic Relief South Africa is the official charity partner for the South African screenings, which are taking place in partnership with Social Intifada. For us, supporting this initiative, it's about ensuring that humanitarian stories are lived, realities are not forgotten, and the screens also form part of a broader impact campaign in partnership with the Palestine Red Crescent Society. As a humanitarian organization, Islamic Relief, we believe it is important to create spaces that encourage awareness, compassion, and also reflection on the human impact of conflict.
And lastly, for listeners who would still like to attend, can you share some more details with regards to screening and how they can get involved? How can they purchase tickets, and when and where these screenings will be happening?
Right, so the remaining screenings will take place in Johannesburg on the 17th of May at New Metro Clearwater at 11 a.m., Durban on the 20th of May at New Metro Cornubia Mall and at 7:30 p.m., and Cape Town on the 23rd of May at New Metro in Canal Walk at 2 p.m. So several screenings, like we mentioned, have already been sold out and limited seats remain for the available shows. Listeners can book tickets and find more information through the Islamic Relief South Africa link tree. So, link tree dot so have dash at Islamic Relief South Africa and social media platforms. So definitely go check out the remaining tickets that we have available.
There you have it. That was Islamic Relief South Africa's volunteer and events coordinator, Galeema Moyce. Jazakallah so much for joining us. Always a pleasure chatting to you. And I'm sure a lot of people after this conversation will be heading over, to those various websites and to try and get tickets and be part of those screenings, because as you mentioned, it's a very, very important and emotionally charged film to watch. Really appreciate your time.
Jazakallah for having on Salam Media. Shukran so much.
There you go. Yeah, I think a very, very powerful conversation there on a very, very powerful film. And I think, yeah, man, you have to see it. You have to see it. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's one of those films that is so raw, that is so unaltered. So whatever that you were seeing there is essentially what happened to Hind Rajab, and the fact that they actually used her voice, in some of the scenes, I think it was a wonderful piece of creativity. I think it lands a bit more emotionally when you realize this actual part wasn't reenacted. This was actually Hind, small child, stuck in a vehicle, calling for help, and those emergency service workers trying to calm her down, and ultimately she was killed. So please head over to the Social Intifada social media pages, head over to Islamic Relief South Africa social media pages, be part of this. As I mentioned, it's a movie, it's a story that you have to see once in your life. I think reading about it is one thing, but seeing the real life reenactment of what really happened on that day really puts a lot into perspective. And I think it puts a very, very wonderful lens through the powerful medium of storytelling. It is a testimony of some sort, that continues to spark global reflection on conflict, on humanity, the genocide in Gaza and the impact that it has had, and the voices that too often go unheard, which is the voices of the children of Gaza that, we only talk about them in numbers. It's never in reality. We never attach names and faces, to the children that have been killed in Gaza, or they've been shot, or they've been bombed, or they've died under the rubble. It's always hundreds and thousands of children, but it's never Hind Rajab or any other name. And I think this one really puts it into perspective, where you have a name and a face of a victim of a genocide that's still ongoing, and a genocide that those that are committing it are still not facing any kind of consequence. So really, really wonderful story to see, and to almost internalize and be a part of. Otherwise, we've come to the end of today's edition of News and Views. Thank you so much for being part of it and staying with us for the last 2 hours. I'll be back with you again tomorrow for the Thursday edition. Inayat Wadi will be with you later this evening from 8 to 9 on the Wednesday night talk with Inayat Wadi. So that's another one not to be missed. Otherwise, from me, Salailo Makudir, and the rest of the team is bye for now. Shap, shap.